All right, guys, we're here on Lost Temple, Axslav versus CauthonLuck. Now, not many people know that much about Axslav. I know you're actually directly, I guess, related to him in a sense, Jeff. Tell us a little bit about the newest player to Team EG.
You know, he's a fantastic player. He made his name in the Warcraft 3 scene. A lot of Warcraft 3 players will be quick to tell you he's not a micro, macro, APM fiend. He's not some monstrous player that, makes you tremble in your boots. But what he is an extremely cerebral player that likes to play a different brand of RTS. And that, he's won big games. Everyone talks about his big Korean victories when nobody was beating the Koreans. And other than that, he's a huge 2 versus 2 threat. So it's going to be really fun to see him in a 1 versus 1 against a highly touted player like CauthonLuck.
We do have CauthonLuck spawning as the Green Terran in the south, and in the north, the newest member of Team EG spawning as the Teal Protoss. Now, one thing that I thought was actually really interesting is I was talking to Cluck, as I like to call him, a little bit before we recorded the match. And he was saying that Axslav actually beat him in a cup sometime during Phase 1 in a Series 2-1 when he was playing random at the time. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how this plays out.
Yeah, that was something that the EG Ventrilo was talking about. They're like, didn't you already beat him? And he's like, yeah, no big deal. Cluck, as you call him, is like one of the most highly touted Terran players, especially in the North American server. So it's no small thing to beat him. And just cutting to the game real quick, we do see a pretty standard opening with CauthonLuck. I was actually looking at the minimap. Pretty big mistake. I was thinking, oh, wow, he's making a fast barracks. No, he's not. It's very standard. And the Protoss is doing the same thing.
Yeah, you see the Protoss player opting to build directly next to his Nexus, making sure that if he does have a Reaper rush coming for him, he is able to defend that pretty easily, I guess, is probably the best way to say that, although you never really know with those Reaper rushes. Looks like we do have a quick gas now going up for the Protoss player, so again, we see a pretty standard build from both players right now.
Yeah, extremely standard. 12 gate, 14 gas, about 15, 16 pylon there. It hit right at the 16 mark. And then with the Terran player Cluck, very similar thing going on here. Right after the barracks goes up, Orbital Command will go as soon as that SCV finishes. And actually, just given their positioning in this map, Lost Temple, extremely balanced, cross-map positions. I really hope for kind of a real feeler-out game one, a little bit of a macro-oriented battle, or not necessarily battle, but game, where they kind of feel each other out, and the rest of the best of 5 can kind of dictate from that.
We do have a Cybernetics core now about halfway done for Axslav, the Protoss player, and I like this this pylon placement, on the far right side of his base. He might be hiding some tech over there later on. We'll have to see. One thing to also note is that there's only one pylon now generating, I guess, pylon for, I'm not really sure what that is actually called for the Protoss players, but there's only one pylon supporting that Cybernetics core and gateway. There's another one coming in. It's still not going to get that gateway, but with the no Reaper harass actually coming, it shouldn't really be too much of a problem for him actually right now.
Yeah, we're going to have the Stalker come out first before the Zealot. I think in the cross-map positions, that kind of takes away things like just a fast Marauder, and even as I say that, we see the concussive shell grenade is being upgraded, and a Marauder's marching himself right across the map. It's a very interesting opening because Marauders are so darn effective, especially with that slowdown effect from the upgrade. They can very few of them can be extremely effective against Protoss. But of course, as is tradition, when I cast, I make a prediction and then I eat those words like 2 seconds later. That Marauder is halted at the Xel'Naga Tower and is just giving them the extra vision. But I still like this play, because any kind of probe that tries to make its way over, or a greedy Stalker, don't do it! Don't do it, Axslav. You're not going to like it. Alright, now he's slowed down, so there's no getting out of this. A little bit of micro from CauthonLuck, and there's a free Stalker. So with that advantage, I think the Terran player is going to push up a little bit.
And we do see him pushing up now across the middle of the map. One thing to note is he also has taken his natural expansion, and the Protoss player has started down a robotics facility. It's almost about to warp in, about 90% complete. We do have one Zealot now for the Protoss player, and he's pulling a ton of probes. He's chrono boosting that Stalker. Now we're going to have to see just how good Axslav's micro is. He pulls that Zealot in a little bit, and it gets caught by those two Marauders. Looks like he's going to use that Zealot, but look at his attempt of surrounding the Terran player's Marauder. He gets one of them. Looks like he's going to be able to take that down. And here comes the Stalker now just warping in, and we have a Reaper as well from the Terran player. Looks like we have another surround on that Marauder, and wow, Axslav is going to hold off that push, but he did lose about half of those probes there defending.
I'll tell you what, that was a bad situation from the beginning. He was doing something a lot of Protoss players like to do, because that opening Stalker will deny an SCV scout if there's any kind of Marine out there. It's free eating, but the one big bad boy on the playground, the Marauder, will eat a Stalker alive. And with that slight advantage, he pushed forward. So it was a tough spot for Axslav, but I'll tell you what, if there's a good way to handle it, that was it. Excellent Warcraft 3 micro. A lot of people will be quick to tell you that's where it comes from. And he got himself out of that situation. Big thing, though, we got 4 barracks down, and the expansion is up for CauthonLuck. So if Axslav doesn't get hip to what's jiving down there pretty quick, he's going to fall behind.
We do have the stim pack research actually now about 75-80% done for the Terran player, and we have our first Immortal now on the battlefield there from Axslav. He's now getting his forces bolstered up there at main, also with the pylon there right at the ramp. He still has not taken his expansion, so CauthonLuck is a little bit ahead in that regard, as well as having 4 unit producing structures up compared to Axslav's 2 right now.
Yeah, it's the order of production from that robotics facility is strictly defensive. You know, there was a couple Marauders up at the gate early on. Stalkers aren't going to do it, and he doesn't want to continue to pull probes. So he got that Immortal out in case of continual aggression. Usually Protoss players want to get that Observer out first so they can get across the map and take a look at what's going on. So that order of things is going to be very unfortunate for Axslav. Fortunately for him, he is going for a macro build, so it's not the end of the world that the Terran player has had his command center this far in advance. The danger is going to be what this Observer sees. Now, if he sees the 4 barracks and the pumping of more Marines rather than Marauders, he's probably going to want to go into something like, oh, there goes that Observer. Hopefully he did see all those Marines. He's going to want to do something like, you know, a Colossus or something, because Immortals, very ineffective against Marines.
Right, we do have another Immortal actually almost completely warping in. Looks like Axslav is pushing out of his base, possibly just to take this SCV out at the nearest Naga watchtower. Now, one thing that I want to talk a little bit about is CauthonLuck is getting a ton of Marines right now. Do you think that this is possibly maybe in response to thinking that some Void Rays are coming his way, or is that just kind of a standard Terran thing to do when you fast expand?
You know, it's actually just a really nice evolution of Terran play. I mean, they're good. They're obviously the nominal thing you want for Void Rays, which is very popular in this matchup, but they're not too shabby against things like Immortals, also something popular in this matchup. The one thing they absolutely get devoured by is Colossus. So if he did see any kind of Colossus tech or any kind of switch to that, I'm sure he'll switch out and start going towards the Marauders. But here we go, the Marine Bio Army, 3 Marauders, a handful of Marines, moving up. They're going to look at that tower. If you click over to the Protoss base, we're not seeing any kind of Colossus tech. It's going to be gateway units with some supplementary robotics units. No Colossus thus far, though.
Yeah, we do have that Twilight Council down right now. Still don't see a Templar archive anywhere, and he's not researching Charge or Blink, so it looks like kind of deciding or waiting to see what he's going to do with that tech. He does see this Terran force there in the middle of the map, as he does have an Observer right over it, and it looks like he was thinking about possibly going towards it, but he does pull back. I think he would actually lose that fight toe-to-toe. It would be actually really close. Would have to rely a lot on the force fields, and he does... It looks like he's kind of unsure, or I guess he's just trying to get all of his units together. But we do have more forces actually coming now from Cluck, because he does have still 4 racks, 1 only with a tech lab. But he also does have that starport now connected to a reactor, and he's going to be getting those medevacs, possibly doing a little timing push as soon as those medevacs come out.
Yeah, we do see that Axslav has begun the upgrading for leg speed for the Zealots. He is only off of 3 gateways, but he is keeping his money fairly low. He's actually going to go and engage the Terran player. It's all about those force fields, just like you said. I'm not sure that's doing too much for him. These Immortals, again, not getting their bonus damage and not getting their bonus shields. This is before leg speed. Pretty good force fields there slowing down this battle, but he was behind that entire time, so I'm not entirely sure he should have been the aggressor here. These Marines should clean it up, and these Immortals are extremely expensive. So now he's targeting the Marauders. Very good job there, but again, it's just making the best he can from a blunder.
Yeah, he did let, one thing to note is his main Nexus was about 70 or 60 energy there, so he wasn't chrono boosting too much. CauthonLuck is opting to go ahead and get those medevacs, healing up his units, and now it looks like he's going to be pushing in, scouting out with this factory. He does only see a handful of units now from Axslav. Looks like only 2 sentries, 4 zealots, and 1 immortal, and he is going to be landing that factory. Wow, I love that play. Blocking a little bit. Oh, I thought it was going to be able to block out all the forces of the Protoss, but not that many. And there's the GG from Axslav, as all of his forces were pretty much wiped out. So Axslav is going to, or I mean CauthonLuck, excuse me, is going to take this first map on Lost Temple, and we are going to be back as quick as possible on Metalopolis.